That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time once again, center of attention. It feels like the best time of the year because there's training camp, there's live football to be talking about. Media members are posting quarterback stats, and everything is back to football season. It's kind of incredible. It goes away for, I guess it never really goes away because we literally could talk about NFL on this show all year long, and we'd have those sickos out there that would want to listen. But if you are a fan of team out there in Southern Ohio, some might say Northern Kentucky, the Cincinnati Bengals. We've been talking quite a bit about them. We had our our hopes and wishes. We had our little recap of last season, and this has been the main topic, main thing Nico's been able to go at my neck about, and that was Shamar Stewart not being signed, and Trey Hendrickson. I'll get to Trey Hendrickson in a second, but we need to talk about Shamar Stewart. Obviously, it's not a great start to your tender when you have this big, long, public battle with the club, and there's a lot of holdouts, hold-ins, whatever you want to say. Ultimately, he got it done on the second day of camp. He was able to make the first day of pads and has been practicing with the team ever since. He's going against the twos, so he gets to go against Jake Browning and the Bengals 2 offense, making some plays. His talent level was never under question. That's why he was drafted 17th and in the way that he was. I think what was questioned and why this thing was as big of a headache as it was is the Bengals are just so stubborn, and it's been that way ever since Mike Brown took over as the team CEO. He doesn't even call himself the owner. They're the only NFL franchise that votes against raising the public equity of the league because they are not in it to make a profit. They are in it just to have a decent football team that they can go and watch and do all of those things. So if you are so worried about Shamar Stewart being a problem, but you love his talent, I don't think you draft him at 17. He's probably not going to be there for you, but I feel like you probably could have talked yourself out of that situation. They figured it out. Shamar Stewart will be playing, and it's not like he's the only contract situation that has ever had to walk back in and start playing and trying to produce for this team. He was, there's talks now from what I'm hearing, and it's hard because I don't live out in Cincinnati, so I do have to rely a lot on the people that are out at camp. He's not necessarily looked at as a Trey Hendrickson replacement. He's more looked at as a Sam Hubbard replacement. He plays a lot better in the run than a Trey Hendrickson does, kind of like what Sam Hubbard used to bring to that defense. And he's been a big problem for the backup lineman of the Bengals so far. I'm hoping that he pops in preseason, hoping that he gets himself in a good rotation. He's using this frustration to his advantage, and now, you started off on a pretty negative foot with the fan base. It's probably time to correct things and push things in the other way. As far as Trey Hendrickson goes, he is back in Ohio because you get fined $50,000 every day that you hold out of training camp. And he had racked up a $250,000 tab. And we just said the Bengals are very stingy about that kind of thing. They will be collecting on those fines. Trey Hendrickson will be paying for the time that he missed away from camp. He is not participating. They're close to having something done. Adam Schefter reported that they're somewhat close, like the most pertinent details are worked out. Where they are still struggling with is I believe Trey Hendrickson wants 3 years guaranteed. The Bengals want to give him 1 year guaranteed. Feels like we're going to be landing at 2 years guaranteed on this contract no matter what. I don't know what the big holdup is and why we continue to be the media spectacle that we seem to like to be, but that is where that contract situation sits now. He's there. He's with the team. He is helping out Shamar Stewart as he's trying to get his footing as a young player in this league. As of now, we're recording this early, so things might change by Thursday, but Trey Hendrickson right now on the ending side of getting something done with the Bengals as it stands. That could change totally. The Bengals could send him a really obscene offer and totally piss him off. There's a lot of crazy things happening, and this has been, I'm hoping that this is not a conversation any further than week 1 of the preseason. We got to get these guys ready for a big start to the season. Zach Taylor needs a big start to the season. I'll talk a little bit more about some camp updates, but we got the rest of episode 241 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. Nico's joining on the other side of the break.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
As people are watching this right now, we're about 20 minutes away from an NFL kickoff. First NFL kickoff of the season. I know everybody hates the Hall of Fame game, but you're watching episode 241 of the Far End of the Bench podcast now. You're hopefully subscribed, followed, all of those good things, and we're getting ready. I don't even know who's playing. I think it's Detroit and so somebody else. There's two teams playing in the NFL Hall of Fame game. Hall of Fame ceremony will be this weekend, but it's football season. Football's back, and it's the end of a long summer, and that's actually – literal for me because this is my last full week of the summer before I'm going back to school. Nico, you're home this weekend. PLL's in Denver. How is it being the point man now, being the guy on the ground?
Sleeping in my own bed for more than 3 days in a row is fun. I'll tell you that much. It's been a great season. Got a big win this past weekend, so things are looking up for us. And obviously being home is very, very, very nice. Is all I'll say. I cannot stress enough. It's very easy when you know your whereabouts of where the hotel is, where the venue is, where everything is. It's very easy for me. And like I said, sleeping in my own bed this weekend is a blessing. So, yeah. And I am one of my coworkers, because I have a roommate every single week. One of my coworkers, shout out Luke, is getting a single this week because I'm staying at home. So he's happy about it too.
I'm sure he is. Yeah, that's a big team guy move. That's a glue guy move, and I'm excited. I'll say it now. We'll talk about PLL coming up later on the show, but I'll be in attendance. So if you see me, I'll probably be wearing Redwoods or Far End of the Bench stuff. Maybe combine the two. See if we can get some good luck going. Last year was the first win after a very long losing streak in Denver, so it's been successful on the home weekends. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Last 2 years were both overtime wins in Denver. So
yeah, against the same team. If I'm not actually 2 years ago it was the Water Dogs. Last year it was Boston.
Yeah, it was some form of that combo, but yeah, it was back-to-back overtime game winner. So here's the hoping that we don't have another overtime game because that is there's only been one overtime game this entire season, so maybe not. But my heart rate just gets shot through the roof when those happen. When those games
are we going to see the former Bruin Asher Nolting once again?
He will be. Yep, he will be there Friday night. The Cannons play Friday night, and the Creek Youth program, a couple of Creek Youth programs will be playing at halftime, so that'll be fun to see. But yeah, it's a jam-packed.
I can't wait to see what it's going to be like because Denver's contending again, and Denver's hot.
Denver's one of the best teams in the league.
We're going to get the PLL fans that have been following the success, but now there's going to be enough buzz. Like, why wouldn't I go downtown?
11 out of their 15 years of existence, or 11 of the last 15 years of their existence, they were in the championship game. Think about that for a second. The Outlaws are forced to be reckoned with always. Like it's. This team is nuts. They're a damn good team.
We'll save a lot of it. Well, not a lot of it. We'll save most of the PLL recap when we get to that segment of the show. We have some things to talk about from camp. I have been listening to the local stations here. I've started adopting no free shout-outs with the Locked On Network so I can get some more Bengals and Broncos content both. So catching up, things that happened after we recorded. Broncos had their first 2 open days of practice. There's only 800 fans due to the construction that's happening at Broncos Park. And the biggest news that happened to start camp off was that Cortland Sutton, the first of their extension-eligible players to re-sign a 4-year, $92 million extension. I believe it makes this year on his contract and next year guaranteed. But he got his deal done. He's about right in the middle of the pack of where receivers make their money, and he's a consistent guy that's put in the hard time on this team. So I feel like this makes sense, especially with the way they handled him last year. But Cortland now not having to worry about a contract and being able to focus on being a consistent figure in that offense, I feel like that's got to be a huge sigh of relief for a lot more than just us in Broncos country.
I mean, it's the biggest sigh of relief is not Broncos country and the coaching staff. It's Bo Nix, because Cortland Sutton is going to be that stalwart on the offense now. Obviously, you'd love to have a guy step up as the number 2 and maybe take some of those reps off of Sutton throughout his contract. But having that guy in Bo Nix's offense is only going to help him every single week. So it was a big move because, like I said, you look at this roster, they don't have a number 2 that is solidified. And they don't, and to go further to that point, they don't have a number 2 that could be a number 1. So, like, you lose Sutton next offseason, you're in scrambling mode and hoping that someone, like I said, all signs are pointing to you being a playoff team this year. You're hoping a quality number 1 receiver falls at the back end of the first round. So it's a smart move. I think Sutton is maybe a little bit more. It probably will be a little bit overpaid at the end of his contract because his use will go down by the end of it. But it's a move that will help Bo Nix entirely throughout, and it's a smart move.
It's a deal that you can look at it and go, well, that's probably a little bit more money than you want to pay him. But I'd say that it's right place, right time, because he was on this team at the tail end of – he got drafted, I think, 2 years after Manning retired. So he was the first losing season all through that, through the Russ years. And even through those years, he's been your leading either pass yards guy or passing or receiving touchdowns guy. So he's been consistent through the really bad. And it's good for him, and it's good for the Broncos because now I feel like he's probably going to finish as a Bronco. If he makes it 3 more years, that's 10 years with the team. It's crazy to think. Like, I feel like he's just got – I remember when he got drafted. That's kind of where I'm sitting with Courtland Sutton. But I feel like this is a legacy but also needed for the team. And it's not just you did your time when we were really bad, and here's some extra money. It's also for production. Like, you do still have to go out, and if you can outdo the numbers that you've been putting up, that's even better. That makes it look even better on the Broncos side, and they're getting you at a steal. But right now, it's what you needed to be paid, and it's for the amount of time that we're probably going to need you until we're bringing in a new crop of receivers and letting you go because 30-year-old receivers, gross. That's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a move that you make that helps in the interim, not the long term. So that's the way you look at it.
With the contracts and the other eligibles, so we have Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, Jonathan Franklin Myers, all still out there with potential to get a new contract done. I don't think that they're going to do one with all three because that's the thing about the NFL is you don't have to renegotiate. You can make a guy play out the contract that he signed, and where that goes from there, who knows? Franklin Myers has been the most outspoken about his situation where he's like, I want a new deal. I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. He said it multiple times throughout the media. Of those three, who do you think is most likely, and who do you think will have the biggest impact if they're not re-signed and have to play out the rest of their contract?
I mean, I expect 2 of the 3. I expect Franklin Myers to be the one that walks. I know he's the one bitching and moaning, but the team is smart enough. They saw what Bonito did last year. He's a very, very young up-and-coming edge rusher. He was a top 5 guy in sacks last year, major disruptor. He was a guy that is how you're going to set your edge for the future. So he will be an automatic signing. Whether the team goes between Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers is the question, or if they let both walk is the real question. I think Zach Allen takes the ownership over Franklin Myers because Franklin Myers plays an edge rusher from the inside. Not as great in the run game, more of a pass rusher from the inside as opposed to Bonito from the outside linebacker position. So I would expect Franklin Myers to be the one odd man that goes out. Obviously, you'd love to keep him because he's a good player, but at the same time, like you're gonna have to divvy up this money somehow. And unfortunately, Franklin Myers is the guy that I think that's the odd man out. I think he was realizing that. Why he's bitching and moaning. It seems like he's got a little too much New York Jets still in him, and that's why he's bitching and moaning all about this random BS that he knows that he's overperforming what he should be doing. But yeah, I'd expect it to be Bonito for sure. I expect Bonito for sure. Zach Allen is the question. I think there's no denying his ability and how much he affects his team because he's one of the best interior defensive tackles in football by far.
He had the most amount of quarterback pressures since Aaron Donald from the inside tackle position.
He's an absolute disruptor and is going to be a huge part of this defense. I think what they have to decide on, if this team has a great defensive year, which we all are expecting that this year, do you try to invest some of that money that Zach Allen is owed this offseason and invest in the offense, which may struggle this year, right? Invest in a maybe number 2 receiver, maybe a higher power running back, whatever it may be, right? Do you invest something like that on the opposite side of the ball if your defense is carrying you and your offense is struggling so much? I think that's where the question comes in from Zach Allen because, like I said, he's a damn good ball player and he's going to be a great player somewhere else if he goes somewhere else. But at the same time, like that's a position where you can almost cover it up in an essence with how good the rest of your defense is, and you could allocate that money elsewhere on the offensive side of the ball if that side of the ball is struggling.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're still going to be stout. But I feel like this is a good comparison back to the season that they won the Super Bowl with Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson. Malik Jackson was the guy that ended up walking. Wolfe took a little bit less to sign, but that was, I think, similar. I guess it's different with Allen because he's already been a free agent, already kind of made his money, and now this would be the second contract that he would be making. So he's already gone through this process. Maybe he wants to end this a little bit quicker. I feel I haven't heard any reports that he's not participating in anything. I still feel like all of these guys are going through and they do have work still left to do. They can still make more money if they go out and have great seasons or get something finished. I think a guy that it doesn't really make sense why you'd be paying attention to him. But Zach Allen would be paying attention to a guy like Evan Ingram, who I've heard really good things out of the first few days of camp, like being in the Sean Payton offense. I know that he has the stigma of being injury prone, but he really hasn't been that bad over the last few seasons, been pretty productive when he's healthy and been able to be used. I think that if a guy like Evan Ingram has a standout season, that could mean we don't have to invest as much money in that offense. That's green light and best case scenario. You have all these other guys kind of take steps forward, but Evan Ingram, the guy that I've heard out of the Broncos camp be touted very highly, and what Sean Payton's able to do with him, having this joker back in his offense, it's everything that Sean Payton's been trying to get for the last 3 years as he's been the coach in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, look, the additions to the offense, they're very under the radar because of how quiet they were. But Ingram and J.K. Dobbins and are going to make a massive impact. They'll win R.J. Harvey. They'll win a second year Marvin Mims and Devon Vele. This offense is going to be much improved, and the offensive line is still very, very solid all across the front. So, like I said, the only reason why I throw caution to the wind is because I've seen what second-year quarterbacks do and seen the downslope of second-year quarterbacks and how much more film teams have on them and what they'll look inside the offense. So I just hold up a little bit of hope that this offense can continue to progress as opposed to take a step back when you have an elite defense.
And I get that, but I also think, too, with a guy like Bo, he's done it at the high college level. And we thought that after the first season at Oregon, teams are going to be able to figure it out a little bit more. Well, it actually turned out to be the opposite. Him playing against the same competition in the same system with the same coach, he was able to take a further step and continue to move forward. Big thing for Bo Nix from the offseason that was reported, and Sean Payton took a little bit of a shot. I felt not personally attacked, but I feel like it grazed us because all of you with your own internet shows don't pay attention. If you were here yesterday, if you could have got your media credential yesterday, you would have heard I stated Drew Brees and Bo Nix met with each other over the offseason. Bo Nix went and worked out with Tom House. I was the one that stated those things. So Sean Payton kind of talking about what Bo Nix did in his time off to take that step forward. Do you think that the time with Drew Brees or Tom House, is that going to be like big for the physical side, what we see on the field, or is that more like mental, seeing things, being able to process faster? Because we all know Drew Brees wasn't – I think that Bo Nix and Drew Brees, not anywhere close physical talent-wise. Bo Nix outclasses him in almost every category, but that mentality, that leading, especially when things are down, that was a really tough situation Brees came into in New Orleans with Sean Payton. Do you think that's going to be better for mental or physical side of the game?
Well, possible future PLL owner Drew Brees, quote unquote, just going to throw that out there. Possible, not confirmed yet. But yes, I think what he adds to the Bo Nix resume is like his professionalism and leadership. That I think, like I said, I think one thing that Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady in that era did better than anybody is that there are these non-divas, maybe Tom a little bit, but non-divas that really stick to the team aspect and taking pay cuts to making sure that the team is successful and not failing, and making sure that he's the leader and the guy that, yeah, he's the guy on the cover of everything, right? He's the guy that's the number one jersey seller. It's a guy that's babies are named Bo in the stands.
God bless Bo Nix.
Like that's just the way it is, and that pressure comes with a different type of energy that you have to exuberate, especially as a second-year guy. And I think Drew Brees did it better than nearly everybody. And like I said, Drew Brees is a guy, I don't know how much of the physical aspect he'll be able to help him with, but in terms of being the leader of this team and being the leader of a Super Bowl contending team like Drew Brees was for so many years in New Orleans, Bo Nix is doing that, can learn so much from that aspect.
Yeah, and if you're gonna get mad at me, New Orleans fans, just if you have a side by side of Bo Nix from his rookie season throwing the football and Drew Brees from his prime throwing the football, the better ball is going to be coming from Bo Nix. But Drew Brees played that offense perfectly. It was slants. I mean, that's what Michael Thomas was considered a slant merchant because Drew Brees only sent him on slants because I think that's all he could throw at that point. But it was pinpoint, like
the accuracy was just unreal. That's the one thing Drew Brees did better than anybody was the accuracy, timing, the way he was able to zip the ball around the field. And Bo Nix, like I said, if he can get to that point where he's Drew Brees' level of accuracy with his arm talent, I mean, look out.
Since I did say I am watching a lot more content, consuming a lot more content on the Bengals camp, this Trey Hendrickson thing, he's now back. It seems like it's close to getting done, but I guess the conversation that I want to have now is it already too late? Like, if the contract does get done, do you feel like this is going to sour throughout the rest of the season? Is this salvageable? Should this be a situation that maybe we just kind of, I mean, not that you want to get rid of a guy like that, but I don't know how much he really wants to stay there, even if they get to the number that he wants. The guys around him are probably starting to get sick and tired of answering those questions. Things continue moving outside of you in the NFL. It's not like the defense doesn't play just because Trey Hendrickson is there. I'm just wondering, at what point am I going to sit here and be like, I'm probably done with this?
I'm a firm believer that the contract's going to get done if he's happy with it. It's not going to be a just sign, wash it away, let's get you to camp. It's either A, he's going to be a Bengal, or B, he's not. There's no in-between little cushion area where either A, he signs a contract and everybody's happy, it's kumbaya, and he returns back to that horrible defense with Shamar Stewart on the other side of him. Or
we'll
B,
that too. I have something for that too.
Or B, he gets traded somewhere else and with the last year of his contract and signs a deal with a worse team. Like that's I find it very, very hard to believe a guy who is looking for a contract is willing to sign a lesser contract for lesser years just to say, I'm done. I 9 times out of 10, a guy in that situation is going to look at the team and be like, all right, trade me. Is it, you're not going to give me this? Trade me. That's simple as that. It's like we saw how stingy Brown was at giving Shamar Stewart his fully guaranteed contract. What makes you think that he's going to agree to give Trey Hendrickson all that money, right? And even if he wants to give him a discount for Trey Hendrickson, you're coming off the best year of your career. Why would you even consider doing that, right? You're hurting yourself even more. Why would you consider signing a 2-year deal to make everyone happy so that the locker room is less, stingy or whatever? Or would you rather say, you know what, just trade me? I have this last year left. Just get me out of here. I know my worth, and I know how much money I'm going to get if you move me somewhere else, and then we'll move on from there. So,
I do think too, there's a lot of upside with Trey Hendrickson. He was the best player on this defense. Not taking anything away from that,
very easily.
But the reason why this defense was so shitty at stopping the run is because Trey Hendrickson also sucks ass at stopping the run. He was the best player on a defense that had something that was very bad that he kind of exacerbated. So while he has a lot of value with what he's done, he was not always a 17.5 sack guy. This is not a Von Miller that we're talking about, where he's been a true sack champion his entire career. You're on the back half of your career. He's probably not going to be here for much longer than a year or two. I feel like giving the compromise should be that 2 years guaranteed. Not going to be 3. He's insulted by the 1 year fully guaranteed. The compromise should be 2.
If you're the Bengals, yes. If you're Trey Hendrickson, fuck no.
I think if you're Trey Hendrickson, yes, too, because people are going to start seeing the holes in your game. You're not going to make all this money from another team if you can only rush the passer every 5 plays.
Okay, you may be correct in that. But let's throw some teams out there that would give him a better contract. Because there are playoff contending teams. Washington Commanders come to mind, right? There are playoff contending teams.
Speaking of Von Miller.
There's playoff contending teams that would pay Trey Hendrickson double, triple what the Bengals are even considering offering him.
It's not the value of the contract. It's literally the discrepancy is 3 years of guaranteed money. It's literally 1 to 3 years.
But if you elongate the 3 years either way, look, let's play role play here. Okay, you're the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm Trey Hendrickson. You say, okay, you know what? You're on the last year of your contract. You don't have a deal after this year. Let's be honest with you. You're probably going to decrease. My play is going to decrease next year, right? So, am I going to wait a full calendar year where a year from now, numbers may not be as good? Or am I going to say, hey, I want what I'm owed right now, 3 years, fully guaranteed, what I know I'm worth right now, maybe not 3 years from now, but right now? Or am I going to wait next year where I'm going to be in a situation where, hey, you know what, pay me less for last year's? Okay. That's how the conversation goes. And if I'm Trey Hendrickson, I don't even consider it. I don't even consider signing a shorter deal.
My rebuttal is if you are dead set, you won't go lower than the 3 years. You can't have any type of no movement clause. Like, yeah, the contract can be guaranteed.
Either way, that's fine.
But that's just like, because what I think the 2 years makes sense because that's only the guaranteed money left on T's contract. If we're talking about windows, I feel like right now the window is going to be T's contract. And then after that 2 years of guaranteed money, we're going to be talking about whether he's going to be gone again. And that's going to be time for Burrow. I can't remember the details of his contract, but there's going to be money that has to be moved around at that point. 2 years seems like a pretty decent window for this team right now because all of the other reports
where he's not going to get that much money in that third year. He would be getting that much guaranteed money. We're talking about $20 million here of guaranteed money.
It's nothing.
That's a lot of money.
And I don't want to sit here and be saying like the guy should take less money because I'm a fan of the team. I'm trying to work this out in the best way for both because the other reports that are coming out now, and like I was trying to make the joke about it at the beginning. I don't pay attention to the stats from training camp, but sometimes the guys that are watching, if you can really trust their opinion, the defense is being competitive with this offense. And we all know how good the offense was last year. But what I heard last year about this time was that the offense is just kicking the ever-living shit out of the defense. The defense can't stop anything. This is going to be terrible. The fact that the defense is somewhat standing up to them, that is going to be the best negotiating tool that the Bengals have. Because showing Trey Hendrickson, like, this is a defense that if we insert you, we can actually play NFL football. We're not going to be playing girls soccer like we were last year.
But what have the Bengals shown, and not necessarily the team and the players, what has the organization shown to Trey Hendrickson that they would allow that contract where he can get paid another contract? Because none of that is they've done nothing to show that.
It's the Family Guy clip where he's like, "You're stubborn as a mule," and it's Mike Brown. No.
They've done nothing to show that loyalty that they would do that in general. So
there is no loyalty. I mean, the first ever guaranteed contracts given out by this franchise were Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and it's like I said,
guys who won't get the ball every single possession.
It's so learning. I'm still learning.
There's two things you have to have I consistently say this. Two things you have to have if you want to win a Super Bowl. A guy who can throw the ball and a guy who can rush the guy who's throwing the ball. If you don't have both of them, and Shamar Stewart could be that, who knows? If you don't have both of that, you are not going to be a real Super Bowl contender.
I learned that you are not a real Super Bowl contender if you don't just have a defense. I would give up, not that I don't want Trey Hendrickson on my team, but if you were to tell me Trey Hendrickson doesn't play last year or doesn't lead the league in sacks and this defense is somewhat competent where we win 12 games, I would take that.
Yeah, that means you're.
So that's the crazy place where I'm sitting and where I think a lot of Bengals fans are sitting right now. Like, I don't know, because yes, this is a guy that I should want to play out the rest of his career, and I love it. I want a 91 Hendrickson jersey, but there's also
Mike Brown doesn't. That's the difference.
Because Mike Brown is 90 years old, and last year he thought they were going to be somewhat decent. And my God, that Monday Night Football game against Washington. And we'll get to Washington in our NFC East preview because we'll get there. But that game was like the epitome of we did everything right. We did everything right, and we got a rookie quarterback showing us up on Monday Night Football on the road and just taking it to our ass. Anything else you want to get out for camp before we switch over to some college football?
To be honest with you, I haven't heard shit from camp, so you know a lot more than I do. I just hear the background stuff. That's about it. So.
There's not much else to do sitting on a tractor. I just rotate between Locked On Broncos, Bengals, the 104.3 show, sometimes our show. Our show's good. You should throw that in your rotation if you're doing the same thing that I do. Just throw it on the headphones. If you're not going to listen, just put it on in the background. It does the same thing. Let's talk a little bit of college football. Speaking of college football, I'll do one shameless plug now. Shameless plug coming up a little bit later on in the show, but we do have a new series that we're dropping, Rise of the Roadrunners. We have decided University of Texas San Antonio deserves a facelift. I've created the coach, Clay Stonewall Merritt, to do so. Frankie the Horn Calderon is going to be on the call. That will be releasing on Friday. We've been having the blogs come out. People have been intrigued. People sometimes think that I did have somebody reach out to us and say, you guys are a UTSA podcast. And I said, if they want to reach out and make some sort of relationship, sure. But right now, no, it's just shit that I come up with it's just shit I made up in my head. But you guys should subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm not that good at streaming, but this might be a different way to get some of that content out. But we have the Big Ten Conference.
Exactly. Shout out. Hold on, one quick shout out, because I was at Shrine Frontier Days after the pod last week, or while I was recording. I was at Brooks and Dunn, and I struck up a conversation with the defensive end for the Wyoming Cowboys, Jordan Turnbull, who tore his Achilles. So shout out Jordan. He tore his Achilles. He's from Denver East, apparently. So that name does. Why don't you play ball? I'm like, he's like, why don't you play ball? I'm like, I'm a little too old for that now, but
retired.
I'm past. I'm tired, unfortunately. He's like, oh, you're pretty strong looking guy. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. I used to play ball, not anymore. But shout out the Cowboys. That's what I've been rocking with my dynasty team. So.
Yeah, no, I've been all in on the Roadrunners and UTSA. That'll be, if you're into that kind of thing. I think if you're interested, if you're looking for something, it'll be on Fridays moving forward. That'll be what we have. But we have the Big Ten Conference to talk about. We're talking about the Big Ten, Nico. Why? Why do you think we're starting with Big Ten when we talk about college football?
Because it's had the last two national champions. Yeah,
two national championships in a row. A lot of money being put into the Big Ten Conference just with the playoff success that they've had and the national championships that they've won. But there's a lot of – it's not the Big Ten. There's 18 teams in the conference. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the big storylines that I was able to pull out from this. But the 2024 Big Ten champion, Oregon, obviously we know that didn't go well in the playoff, but Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and Indiana, they had 4 playoff qualifiers last year, and Ohio State finishes as the top performer, 13-2 in a national championship. Those 2 losses coming at Oregon, middle of the season, and home against Michigan at the end of the season before they started the playoffs. So just with all of that, what were your thoughts on the Big Ten last year? Did you expect going into the playoff that we were going to have another national champion from the Big Ten? Did you have faith in Oregon or Penn State that they were going to be able to get over that hump and continue to carry the mantle, or did you expect it to be Ohio State and that was it?
I have zero faith in Penn State every single year. Let's just throw that out there. It was Ohio State and Oregon were the 2. I thought Dylan Gabriel last year would have taken that offense to a different level, and he did for the regular season, and then it literally fell apart at the limbs at the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. So
I still don't think they've shown up for that game.
Frankly, let's be honest with you, I think Oregon probably wins the national championship if they win that game. They probably go through Texas, then they probably go through Notre Dame on the other side. So if and that's how far away they're away from it. I don't know. I know I just said I don't believe in Penn State at all. But when your team has the best quarterback in the conference and possibly the best quarterback in the country, and I say possibly because I don't think he is, but he is in the conversation.
I feel like Drew Aller has the same. He has the same stink on him as James Franklin, because James Franklin has a great
opportunity. Like Drew Aller has a great opportunity with a team that is returning a lot of guys too. They're returning a lot of guys. They lost a lot of guys last year, returning a lot of guys. A team that was a couple wins away. A
couple wins away, but they didn't. They had 0 receptions by a receiver in the second half against Notre Dame. So Drew Aller's really good, and their running backs, their offensive line, but it's the same conversation year in and year out. And I feel like Penn State fans should probably be a little bit nervous because right now you're sitting right on the cusp of the James Franklin ceiling, where it used to be, sometimes we'll compete for Big Ten championships. If we can beat Michigan, Ohio State, we'll be in the Big Ten championship, then we'll make the 14 playoff. Now it's a lot easier. He's always going to be able to make this 12-team playoff, and then you're probably going to get a lot of draws like last year where you play SMU and the Sisters of the Poor. You have yet as a football team, I think besides one game where Saquon went off and Trace McSorley, that is the only time Penn State has beaten a team that is equal or better talent than they are under James Franklin. James Franklin is king of kicking the shit out of everybody that's lower than him, and Penn State puts a lot of money in their athletic programs. Big Ten sports, they're a powerhouse for a reason. We talked a little bit about the wrestling program for good reasons and for bad reasons, but for me, as a Penn State fan, I'm worried about, can we break through that James Franklin ceiling in this 12-team playoff, or is it just going to be easier for him to keep his job? Right now, I feel like he's never going to get fired, but there is that question. Like, he's never beaten a team that's as good or better than him.
And that's the worst part of being in the Big Ten, because if you have those type of seasons in the say the ACC or say the Mountain West or the American Conference, then you're coach of the year every single year. But when you're at Penn State and when you're at a conference that has housed 2 national champions the last 2 years and had, I believe it was 4 representatives, might have been 5 last year. Like the Big Ten is the powerhouse. Last year, yeah, 4 in the playoff. But like, you have to produce when the stage shines the brightest. And look, I think Drew Aller has the possibility of doing that. He could either like you said, similar to Quinn Ewers last year. Like Quinn Ewers walked into Texas last year with being the quote unquote number 1 guy in the SEC, right? Number 1 quarterback in the SEC, a guy that was touted as a top 5 pick if he has a great year.
When we get to the AFC East, we'll have more to talk about with Quinn Ewers, because he's making some noise in Miami Miami camp right now.
Like Drew Aller has an opportunity to raise his stock all the way in a quarterback draft class that's going to consist of him, Arch Manning, and Nussmeier from LSU, and that's basically it. So
you want to make Penn State really happy? Joe Burrow looked about the same as Drew Aller before he went on that last season at LSU, and
the weapons Joe Burrow had compared to Drew Aller is a night.
That is true. I also brought up the stat that the receivers had 0 catches in the second half against that. Hey, but Notre Dame's defense was good.
They weren't good, but it was fucking Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on 2 sides of the ball,
and Thaddeus Moss and Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
as opposed to, I don't even know a name for them.
No, literally, I know Singleton.
Because the tight end's gone. Tyler Warren's gone. The only guy that we
Warren
do.
Is gone.
So, like,
Tyler Warren is gone. That's true. But I'm just saying, like, it's not unprecedented for a quarterback to have a somewhat mediocre season, and then the next year, especially when you're at a place, like we said, Penn State, all they do, I don't know if their school is any good, but I know damn well that they spend as much money as they can on their athletic programs, and all their athletic programs from spring to fall are fucking good. Like, always in national championship contention. James Franklin should be able to use this to his advantage. I don't know if it's him not having that extra step to go after and go out. Like, it's almost like he's playing not to lose at some points, but it seems like this is the situation for them, especially this year. Like, you have the guy at quarterback, come in, prove it.
Yeah, I mean, if not now, when? I think we said the last couple of years for Penn State, if not now, when. But
that James Franklin ceiling's right there. It's right there. Ohio State, they made up for losing to Michigan in the season finale, but I have to assume that this season is going to all be centered around that last week of the season. Ryan Day, you need to beat Michigan. No other coach in history. And it's different because you have the ability to make the playoff without winning the game this time. And no other coach in history has lost as many times to Michigan. Like, that would be 6 in a row. He has never beat Michigan. That would be 6 in a row losing in the game rivalry. And I feel like Ohio State fans are just crazy enough to actually hang him out to dry. Excuse me. I know I have to be careful with the language there. Hang him out to dry, and I feel like they would get rid of him if they don't beat Michigan this year.
If they didn't win national championship last year, then yes.
I don't think that it puts as much water on that wound as possible.
He's one of 6 head coaches that have won a national championship at Ohio State. 6.
And what team has he not beaten?
He won I understand. Michigan. Might as well name the Michigan-Ohio State, not the game, but the national championship game.
No, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to us. It doesn't make sense to us. But if you walk around a bar in Columbus, I guarantee you'll find a majority of people that say he needs to beat Michigan to solidify his national championship. They could beat Michigan this year, not win the national championship, and they would be like, okay, that national championship counts.
Okay, real question then. I have an Ohio State friend right now named Jeremy Fear, who we've had on the show.
Yeah.
If I ask him right now, would you take a loss again to Michigan at the end of the season to win a national championship? What do you think he'd say?
Hell no.
Hey, okay, hold on. Okay, let's go ahead.
We still have time left in the show. Go ahead.
I'll ask him right now. Because I see what his answer is. Because you're high if you think winning another national championship doesn't mean something.
It does.
That is ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It doesn't, especially this year, because I do think, speaking of Michigan, I do think that Michigan will have a better chance of actually being a competent football team. They beat Ohio State last year without being able to throw a pass. And they totally mined out. They spun Ryan Day and Chip Kelly all around in that last game to be able to beat them. I feel like, especially in a season where Michigan could be contending for the playoff as well, Ohio State cares more about beating Michigan this year than winning another national championship.
That's blasphemous to me. I'm asking.
It's not going to be the only time that we disagree on this.
That's fine, but we're about to get the real thing here from straight Ohio State fans straight up.
Speaking of Jeremy, let's speak of Indiana, because Indiana was the other playoff representative last year. Do you think that it was a one-year wonder, or because now they have to do it without any of their transfers? They did it with James Madison last year. Now it's Indiana proper. Do you think that Cignetti and Indiana are going to take that step forward, or are we going to be back to, hey, I knew it!
He's fucking delusional!
Delusional.
He's delusional.
I'm right.
He's delusional.
Tell him I'm right. Tell him Jimmy said that's exactly what you would say.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we don't understand this rivalry. We don't. We have nothing that compares to the Michigan and Ohio State rivalry, but I guarantee you there's a lot more people than just him that think that.
Oh my God. Oh, that's ridiculous.
This is why European people can't comprehend college football. This is why it makes no sense.
That's just still blasphemous. That blasphemes me. I would.
Do we want to talk about Indiana? I think Indiana's. I don't know if they're going to regress totally back to what they were. I don't think that they're going to win 11 games. I think they'll probably be sticking around 8 or 9. I think that's what Cignetti's good for in the Big Ten.
I think Indiana has hit their cap. I think they had a great year, and I think that all those transfers were great last year. It's now whether Indiana can consistently be a good team. Is all I'll say. They're put like I said, they kind of fed off of the Big Ten being top heavy last year, and
they had the luck of the schedule by far.
They played the worst teams in the Big Ten the entire year, and having the Big Ten be like the worst conference on the bottom half as opposed to the upper half helped them a lot. Obviously, having to face Northwestern and fucking Purdue and all the shitty teams helps you a lot. I don't think Indiana has the luck of the draw as much this year, and they can't. After their performance in the first round, this is what I said the last couple of years about the 14 playoff. You can say about the 12-team playoff now. Once you get your ass blown off in the first round of the playoffs, and you're a team that was a bubble team that was on the fringe of getting in, they don't see you as a real contender anymore. Cough, cough, UCF. Cough, cough, Cincinnati. Right? Like your respect is fucking shot.
Fucking Michigan State. Michigan State. You remember when they made the 14 playoff and got their doors blown off by 40?
Weren't fucking respected again. Like that. That's what Indiana is running into this year after getting their doors blown off by. Was it Ohio State? Or it was Notre Dame?
No, that was Alabama. Notre Dame blew the doors off of Indiana. Alabama's the one that killed Michigan State and any hope they had. Last thing for the Big Ten. Who do you think wins the Big Ten Conference in 2025?
Ohio State.
Okay. I think Michigan has a better shot than
the first year. Was it Bryce Underwood? Is that the guy?
It's either him or whoever else Dave Portnoy is willing to pay tens of millions of dollars to go play quarterback in Michigan. Again, we don't understand what this is like. I've never loved anything as much as those guys love Michigan and Ohio State football. I hope to someday. Maybe I'll find something that gives me that kind of joy and schadenfreude and joy in the misery of others. But I think that Michigan has a good shot. But I think it's Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Just like Oregon has a quarterback battle like not having a true transfer
Lanning
that's going to save them.
Dan Lanning is going to make sure that program is playing good football, and I think they could shock some teams. I just don't.
This
think
is the year to prove that it's his program and his culture that makes these guys instead of just bringing in the top transfer quarterback every year.
That's true.
So
I have a direct quote. He wanted me to say this. OSU fans would rather beat Michigan by 30 and lose in the playoff than lose to Michigan and win it all. And I quote he said. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I disagree. I know you two are on the same wavelength, but he wanted me to say it, and I still boss.
I'm just so happy that I knew that and I called it. That rare moments that normally don't happen. I'm happy that everybody gets to see that on this show. We are talking about the NFC East. We're starting our division breakdowns. We're going to spend a little bit more time on each one specifically instead of doing AFC and NFC. So this time we're focusing on the NFC East. I made it the title of the podcast because I think this is going to be the thing that people disagree with me the most on. I think that the Cowboys will win the NFC East. I think the Cowboys will win the NFC East. I'm saying that with as straight a face as possible. I did just see Happy Gilmore, so maybe I'm putting it out there a little bit. Did you see the bull riding that they were doing at the end of their warm-ups that one day? That's really – oh, and Joe Milton doing the kip up into a backflip. That's going to lead to some points on the offensive side.
I give it 8 weeks of Dak being injured / having a bad year before Joe Milton conversation comes back up. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the division.
I think that this
by no means do I think
it'll make more sense once we get to, I think, all of the predictions. But the way that things ended last year, Philly won the East, Washington was 2, Dallas 3. The Giants were I didn't even put the Giants on my page of notes here because that's, I think, what they mean and matter when they have Russ as their starting quarterback because they didn't name him as the starting quarterback for the season. So we are still getting the Russell Wilson experience from some team. Brian Daboll. I thought Brian Daboll had the stones to tell him.
Let's start there. Let's start there because we both have this team as the worst team in the division. I think.
Of course.
Look, Giants fans are convincing themselves he's back.
Just like who?
Steelers fans did last year,
and just like who?
Like I did 2-3 years ago. Exactly same way.
We all did.
It's the same infamy. He looks great. He looks great in camp when an offensive line can't, when a defensive line can't touch him.
We got to hire his video editors.
Whoever the video editor is absolute gold. I'll put it this way: Jackson Dart starts this season for half the games.
Of course. I think it's
if Daboll wants to have a job
next
year, if Brian Daboll wants to have a job next year, Jackson Dart will be a starting quarterback for this team at some point. They did not trade back up into the first round to go to just not let him draft it. And frankly, I think they had a great draft. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought they had a great draft. Abdul Carter, great addition. I think
with Dexter Lawrence, that's crazy.
Dexter Lawrence, that's going to be incredible. Their defense is going to be very, very good. They are developing something very good defensively wise over there in New York.
Malik Neighbors is the truth too.
Malik Neighbors is a dog. They add Cam Scattermoo, who everything from Cam,
I think is a dog as well.
His PR team is actually shitty because he looks like he's doing shitty in camp. But some of the other videos that are under, in those Twitter accounts, so you don't think they're probably bots that are recorded for some people, he's actually making plays.
Yeah.
And they have Tyrone Tracy too there, and it's a two-headed running back system over there that's going to thrive, in my opinion, in their New York. If you think that Russell Wilson is your fucking answer to every problem you have lost your fucking mind.
You're not the special one.
The Pittsburgh Steelers missed the playoffs for the first time in 8 years last year because of him. They were one loss away from having a losing record because of him. First time in 30 years. And you think, I don't even know why we think this is it's very, very funny how Giants fans just have not watched a second of ball the last 3 years and thought that this is going to go well. He has not played good football in 4 years.
We all owe the city of Seattle an apology.
And frankly, Seattle probably hid all of his bad things that last year before he got traded to them.
But as soon as he got traded, they've been going around, and I heard him on the Denver station. I've been hearing them around. they've tried to warn us after he left them. Like, trust me, it won't go the way that you think it will. It'll only disappoint you.
It'll be way better once he's gone. It'll be way better when he's gone. It'd be look. If Russell Wilson starts 17 games, it's the worst team in football. And the conversation of Arch Manning comes up. And frankly, I would consider it. He's Arch Manning.
That could be the Lex Luthor 3D chess move where when you put in Jackson Dart, because I feel like putting in Jackson Dart when they're 0-4 after Russell Wilson loses you the first 4 games, it's going to be like Jared Goff in LA that first year. He's just going to get his ass kicked.
The question is, though, this is why I think that the Giants have to throw Jackson Dart out there, because this is the whole Josh Rosen thing in Arizona. Remember how he was the backup quarterback to who was it? It was like fucking Gabbert? No.
Yeah, no.
There was a guy that started like 4 games. Was it who was that guy Josh McCown? Was it McCown?
Josh McCown.
Was it McCown?
Yeah.
Like where he started only 6 games, and they were like, well, we suck, but we have good talent, so let's just go draft the best quarterback, which is the best player available, which is the quarterback. It was Kyler Murray, and it was obviously it's going to be Arch Manning. And the fact you trade up for Jackson Dart makes me think that it won't last. That they think that this won't last very long.
Josh Rosen started 13 games for the Cardinals his rookie season.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was the season before that. Because I remember the season before Josh Rosen was there. That was like I think that was the Simeon Broncos, or maybe one of the years after the Simeon Broncos. They went in and killed Arizona on Thursday Night Football, and that was the season before Josh Rosen got drafted. But the Cardinals were bad, but yeah, they were able to.
So
that GM gets shit, but he should actually be. That was the right decision, especially with the way everybody is still trying to adjust to the way that CBA is different now, and the first round picks contracts are different. They've written into the CBA that you can't really kill your team with a first round draft pick contract. He's gonna get this amount of money, and he's not gonna get any more of that. That was kind of why people wouldn't draft quarterback. It's not out of the realm of possibility this year. If Jackson Dart sucks ass when he gets thrown in there, when Russell Wilson sucks at the beginning of the season, then yeah, they could be on the list for whatever quarterback. I could see Nussmeier. I could see Arch Manning. I could see any of those names that are going to be the next hot quarterback name out there.
I just think that when they trade up for Jackson Dart, we all thought it was trading up for Shedeur. I think when they trade up for Jackson Dart, it shows that doesn't matter what the QB situation is, he will play this year.
Oh, yeah.
I just am confident in that, and I think Russ is going to.
Jameis is there if a quarterback goes down by injury, and Jackson Dart, if they decide to switch quarterbacks, he will bump over Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston won't start games unless all the other quarterbacks are injured.
There's so much young talent. There's so much young talent on the team. There's so much good, very good young talent on this team.
And this is a division where a new team wins all the time.
So I'm saying, develop young guys. Do what Washington did, right? Develop young guys and rely on a quarterback on a rookie contract, and you could win a playoff game next year.
Let's speak of Washington.
And they're throwing out the fucking Russell Wilson again.
Yeah. Let's move to Washington. Where do you have Washington finishing? Because I have them finishing third.
I have them winning the division.
You have them winning the division. I have them finishing third.
The only reason, let me preface this. The only reason why I have them winning the division is because a different team wins the NFC East every year. I don't think they're the best team. I do not think they're the best team. I think the Eagles are still the best team. I have the Commanders as my number 1 team because of the things they did in the offseason. I think having another year of Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin is going to be huge. I think adding Von Miller is going to help this team a lot. I think the defensive additions and offensive additions to this team is going to improve this team even further next year. That is going to elevate this team to a top level team in the NFC East and in the NFC where they host a playoff game. I think Jaden Daniels has the possibility, and I know their play styles are very different, but the possibility to have a Cam Newton type year where he just puts up video game numbers with some talent around him that frankly
Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl his second season too.
And look, Commanders were one away from Super Bowl. Let's not also forget about that. They made the conference championship,
which could be good or bad.
Exactly. Could be good or bad, but I think the Commanders are going to win this division. I worry to see what Jane Daniels looks like in his second year, but I do think that this team has all the right tools to take that next step. And look, I understand Vaughn is older. I think adding Vaughn to that defensive line helps so much. The Montez Sweats of the world can finally have a little bit of sweat, take it, no pun intended, taken off of him, where he doesn't have to take the double team every single time. I think top to bottom, it's not the best team on paper. Top to bottom, I don't think it's the second best team on paper. I think the Cowboys are the best team on paper. But I do think that what's his name? The guy from fucking Atlanta. What's his name? What's the head coach's name again? You remember? Dan Quinn. What Dan Quinn does defensively helps us team so much throughout the regular season that I think they sneak in and win the division.
I think the reason why I have Washington finishing third, and this is where I'll get to my rationale for the Cowboys winning, I think that Dallas, Washington, and Philly are going to be much closer talent-wise with everything after last season, the way that things have gone leading into it. I see them as very close, very neck and neck. Washington, I like last year. They learned how to win. But you also have to remember, they won a lot of lucky-ass games. That Hail Mary against Chicago, if that doesn't go their way, if Rondale Stevenson isn't waving to the crowd instead of covering his man, they probably don't make the fucking playoffs. They were at that point that season. So it's a young team. It's in a rebuild. I think that they're going to get better. I think Jaden Daniels will get better. But I think that some of their lucky wins are going to go away, and I think they're going to struggle to get some more. I think that they finish maybe 9, 10, 11 wins. I see Philly doing something similar to what they did after their last Super Bowl, where they regress a little bit, even when they made it to the last one and lost. 9, 10, 11 wins. I see Dallas with Dak healthy. 9, 10, 11 wins. I feel like it's all going to be like 11, 12, and 9 wins.
Let me put the I and the F there for if Dak is healthy. Let me put that.
That could be. That could be. But even
first.
without Dak last year, they almost beat the Bengals with that offense, and I know the defense and everything. They won about 6 games without Dak. Is my thing, and I think Joe Milton is better than I can't remember the ginger that they put at quarterback last season.
Fucking Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, yes. No, Joe Milton will win more games than Cooper Rush does with this Dallas roster.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to win the division. I think George Pickens' addition helps. I think adding
or
him
hurts. I don't know.
Hurts, probably does both.
George Pickens is like Happy Gilmore's kids and Happy Gilmore too. You say one thing, and well, if you touch my sister, I'll kill you.
I think Javonte Williams, if he's healthy, could be a helpful addition to this backfield.
Didn't even realize that he went there until I was doing the research for this show.
Exactly, he did. I think this defense returning with Mike Parsons. There's another guy with contract dispute that Jerry Jones is saying all the wrong things.
Oh, that was also what I said in my initial thoughts. Duct tape Jerry Jones and cut his phone line, like duct tape him to his chair in his office and cut the phone and the internet lines in his office so he can't do his radio show. He can't call out. He's just stuck in his room. And you could probably put pictures around him and make it look like things are happening around his office and he's just sitting in solitary confinement. You have to get this guy away from the camera and the media.
One person on the show has to be the guy that is the Cowboys are back person. And I'm glad it's not me, is all I'm going to say. I just think that, like, they drink too much Kool-Aid. It's just drinking too much of the Kool-Aid of that your shit don't stink. It's the same thing every year. Look, you want to hear my hot take for this division? Shedeur Sanders will be Dak Prescott's backup this year when Cleveland releases him.
That is somehow.
That is a hot take.
Somehow you went hotter than the Cowboys winning the division.
I don't think it's that hot of a take that the Browns release him. All the reports right now are Cleveland is saying he's taking the 4th team reps. He's the only quarterback that's hurt. That's what I'm saying. Can't even and they don't keep 4 quarterbacks. They barely keep 3, and 1 is stuck on the freaking practice squad.
The Broncos are the reason they keep 3 on the roster, by the way, because of the COVID season.
Exactly. Like, I'll be honest with you. I think that's a higher possibility.
I think that this is always the division that is the most combustible. Because remember, a couple years ago, it was the NFC least. where if you won 7 games in this division, you were winning the division.
And it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better.
But it goes in waves. So I think right now we had the peak wave last season where Washington does what they did from a wild card spot. It's similar because it was Dallas that won the division the last time Washington did something from the wild card spot. And now I think that it is combustible with Dallas and Jerry Jones, but it's also not as combustible because Dan Quinn and Dan Snyder's out and Dan Quinn is in Washington. So that team's going to be more consistent. I think that Philly is consistent with what we know of them. They might go 10-0 to start the season and lose 5 of the last 6, 5 of the last 7, but hey, they're consistent.
I don't think people are giving the Eagles enough credit. They blew out the Chiefs. It wasn't even a fucking game. Blew them out. It wasn't even fucking close.
The Chiefs weren't that good.
I know they weren't, but they also blew out the Commanders in the NFC Championship. They also rolled through everybody else in the NFC.
Los Angeles had them worried.
They had them worried for a quarter, exactly, and that was as close as it got. No one touched that team. The Eagles are still the best team in the NFC. I understand I didn't pick them to win the division, but because of the law of betting here and the law of going with trends, I can't do it. The Eagles, by far and away, have the best defense in this division. Still, they have the best running game in the division, not even close, and they have arguably one of the top 3 receivers in the division with CeeDee Lamb and who am I forgetting?
No, I think it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I think that they have a chance.
2 of the top 5 receivers.
Yeah, they do have 2 of the top 5. Here's my thing with the Eagles, and I guess this will be the year where I can't say this anymore. But if they do what they did after their last couple Super Bowl runs and regress, then Nick Sirianni is just hamstrung to the talent, or his systems do work. And Nick Sirianni is a coach that can keep this team consistent. I still don't necessarily have 100% faith that he can handle being in Philadelphia. That's also where I'm kind of sitting here. Like, if the Eagles do what they did 2 seasons ago, go 10-0 to start and lose, he'll get fired. This is not fucking Ohio State in college football. This is entirely dumb. This is not 2 and 2 are not the same. You don't know the Dagos. You don't know the Dagos are in Philly.
Super Bowl. They kept that motherfucker.
Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl too, and he was gone 2 seasons later.
They kept him for a couple years because he won the Super Bowl, and he was a horrible coach. So look what he did in Jacksonville.
Not a horrible coach.
Look what he did in Jacksonville. Horrible.
Not a horrible coach.
He doesn't have a job in the league for a reason.
He is a good offensive coach.
Good coordinator. Yes, good
Nick
coordinator.
Sirianni's not even a good offensive coach.
But he doesn't have to. When he has assistant coaches that are literally taking NFL jobs every year. True or false? I think they've had 3 coordinators the last 2 years. They had a job somewhere else.
That is true. What happened the last time they made it to the Super Bowl? Before this,
I don't think they care. They fucking won, and they think that you. Okay, well, I'll tell you right now. Philly is soaking up that Super Bowl more than anything, and they will ride that they beat the Chiefs by 40 in the Super Bowl for the next fucking 20 years. Okay, they beat Tom Brady, and they beat who was the other? They beat Tom Brady. They beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. No one else can fucking say that.
This is the Hambino calling his shot. Philly's gonna hate Nick Sirianni by week 3.
Okay, and I think he's going to do a middle finger with his ring on that finger. I'm pretty sure he probably ring sized for the middle finger for a reason. So
I'll play him in rock paper scissors if he wants to come on the show.
Here's another hot take, and I think this fits well because this conversation has come up this multiple times this offseason on some of the shows. I think Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC.
Right now, it's him or Goff.
Goff,
Stafford
on a good day. Stafford on a good day.
Yeah, but he's not even playing. I guess it's in Los Angeles, so take this with a grain of salt. He's not doing anything before the regular season starts. I don't think Stafford's going to have the season.
I think the only ones in that conversation would have to be
Jaden Daniels if he can do it 2 seasons in a row.
Jaden Daniels in that conversation. I think Jalen Hurts still outweighs him right now. I think Caleb Williams, if he has a big year, possibly. Jordan Love is, I think, still a step below. Who we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's going to like. Malcolm Penix, no. Fucking Tyler Shuck, no. Baker, I think Baker's
crazy.
in the top 5 conversation. Baker's in the top 5.
No, it's him and Baker longevity wise. But here's the crazy thing: he's been in the league 5-6 years. He's already got the best pedigree of any quarterback in the NFC.
By far and away.
That's the craziest thing. Been to a Super Bowl, been to multiple NFC championships, won a couple NFC championships, been to one Super Bowl, lost, and won his next one. Like, yeah, he's in a very short amount of time.
He's a big time player. He's like I said, there's like this is what he did at Alabama when he came in for Tua Tagovailoa in the playoffs, right? He is a big time player when it comes to big time moments. I think he is the best quarterback in the NFC. I don't think anyone else comes to mind. I think Baker has a conversation for longevity reasons. I think Stafford on his best is about even with Jalen Hurts right now. Kyler Murray, no. Brock Purdy, fuck no. Seahawks and Sam Darnold, no. I think it's Jalen Hurts. It is. Look, there's not a lot of shit when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFC. It's a lot of old heads that are like, kind of decent, but not better than Jalen Hurts right now.
He is definitely. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, he's done a lot in a very short amount of time. He deserves his credit, and I think that it's about time that we give him his credit on this show. I think that it's going to be up in the air. My final prediction for the division: I have Dallas, Philly, Washington, and then New York. What do you got for the top four?
I have Washington, Philly, Dallas, New York.
This is way too early. So make sure you click this if you're a hater of one of those teams. I know that we're gonna get Dallas and Philly fans.
If you're a fan of one of those teams, you're gonna hate on something we said about one of the other teams, guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
I would love to hear what Cowboys fans think of signing Shedeur Sanders in a couple of weeks when the Browns cut him. Because I think it's gonna happen.
Let's get into the end of our show because I do have a football practice to get to in a little bit. But we have PLL Denver coming this weekend. The Redwoods got back on the win train last week in Salt Lake. And they have not only that, you have killed the gorilla that's been sitting on your back. You've beaten the Archers. You've beaten them. You've done it.
It's been so damn long. We have not beaten the Archers since I came to the league. So 3 years,
yes.
3 years now, we have not beaten them. So it was a relieving thing. And I will say, Salt Lake City is such a fun venue, and those fans, like, it's similar to what it's going to be like here in Denver. Obviously, we don't play the Denver team, so it's going to be a little bit different for our game. But like the Denver crowd is going to be great, but the Salt Lake City crowd, they booed the shit out of Brandon O'Neal, and they were heckling me on the sideline, saying your team sucks as they walk by. That's the first time I heard that all year, where I literally am standing on the bench and a kid walks by saying you guys suck. That's so Utah maybe have one of the best fan bases, beautiful venue too, also. So it was great, and getting the win and shutting all those fans up felt so good, and we needed that. We had to have it, plain and simple, because if we did not have that win, we would not in the driver's seat for the playoffs right now. We control our own destiny right now. We win this weekend, basically all but confirmed that we will be making the playoffs unless we lose by 15 goals and on the second game of the back-to-back from against Boston. Like this is a huge game this week, and this is what catapults us into that playoff picture, and it makes us a dangerous team because, like I said, the Outlaws they win one more game, they'll have a first round bye, and so they'll have 4 weeks off in between games. So their last game will be this weekend again in Denver before the semifinals. Think about that for a second. That is a long time away. A long time away from playoff from the first playoff. So they won't play a game from August 2nd. Is the August 2nd until Memorial Day weekend, which is my birthday weekend. So September 1st, full month off. That could hurt that big time kind of playoff. So all we have to do is win one and go shock the world and win Denver. And we're 1 win away from winning a championship. So things are turning at the right time. That was such a big win for us last week, and now getting things right back on track here in Denver. I'm excited. Things are looking up.
It was a big win for California, and then also, so we said last weekend it took things could change quickly, and things did because it wasn't what we thought. Carolina was the one directly ahead of California. Carolina won against Water Dogs 15-14.
Carolina is putting together some games here.
It was Utah going 0-2 in their homecoming, and I don't want to bring this up because it's been a long time, but that's back-to-back homecoming weekends where the home team has gone 0-2, which it affects the playoff standings.
That's right.
It does really affect those playoff standings. And California having Utah lose not just to them, but also again on Saturday last weekend to Denver, that's even better because now Carolina is still, it's not out of the question that Carolina could win, but the fact that they're not blowing teams out and getting that score differential down is not good for them.
Utah's best option right now of sneaking back in the playoffs is not us losing. It's Carolina losing. Because if Carolina, they have that minus 15, I believe, or maybe it's minus 18. I don't know. It's one of the two. Utah and Carolina have two of the worst goal differentials. They need Carolina to lose again and hope that last weekend game where it's Utah versus Carolina is the deciding game between who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. That's what they need from Utah. Utah needs from this weekend. Not necessarily us. It's more so dependent on that because if we can, like I said, we win a game this weekend, it is like our goal differential helps us so much that we're in a situation where even if we lose the last weekend of the year, as long as we don't lose by 10 goals, we're in. So that's
looking at the West right now. It's Denver at 6-2, Carolina at 4-4 with a minus 15 goal differential, California at 3-5 with minus 6 goal differential, and then yes, Utah is 3-6 with a minus 14. So Utah could go from championship game to
back-to-back champions to not even making the playoffs.
Not even making the playoffs. I love the format and the way that they changed it. And when we talk more about college football, we'll talk about playoff formatting. But when you do things like this, it can make things a lot more interesting down the stretch. In the East right now, New York with 6-2 record, they have a plus 17 goal differential. Philly at 4-4 with a plus 1. Maryland at 3-5 with a plus 5. Boston are the team that California is playing this weekend.
We're playing Maryland.
Excuse me.
We play Boston.
So Boston is the only team in the East with a negative scoring differential, and they're also looking up right now, technically half a game back at Maryland.
I mean, Maryland needs a win badly this week, just as bad as we do. Maryland needs a win. Philly needs a win. Boston obviously has 3 games left, so they still have games to make up in terms of figuring out their playoff standings, but they need wins this weekend too. The East is, like I said, that's the fun part about the way the PLL is built is like everyone can beat everybody on any single weekend, and frankly, you look at the structure of the playoffs, everything will be decided that last weekend in Boston. I'd be very surprised if Utah was all the way out of the picture. This going into Boston weekend, I'd be very surprised if Maryland, Philly, and Boston separated from the rest going to the last weekend. I think it's going to be a weekend of must-watch games in Boston. And this weekend is going to be, I love being home, and I know I'm biased because I live here. The crowd is incredible. The Rough Riders and what they do for the Outlaws is incredible. And like I said, they have one, if not the best team in the league right now. It's going to be a fun time.
Being here over the last 2 seasons when they've come to Denver, it is one of the big weekends in the PLL calendar, and I'm excited to be able to go again, 6 p.m. on Saturday. We have the last game of the weekend going up against Maryland. The other games this weekend on Friday, Carolina will kick things off against Denver at 6, and then Philly and Boston. Game before the Maryland and California game will be Denver versus New York. I'll see if I make it out to – I'll probably make it out to the second half of that game. I am also dog sitting.
The only problem is that game is at 11 o'clock in the afternoon and we play at 6. So there's a big –
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's normally not that much time in between.
It's 2 different sessions also. So that's the other problem with the tickets. So that's the shitty part about it. But that game is on
that money
ABC.
somehow.
That game is on ABC. So
yeah. Got to make that money somehow. PLL this weekend in Denver. Super excited to be out there. Coming up to the end of this show, we have our top 5. We're going different this week. I came up with this one. Top 5 obscure athletes, because we both follow some sports that maybe people don't necessarily pay attention to, and we also follow some positions in sports that people might not necessarily pay attention to. So we have a pretty good bank to pull from when it comes to obscure athletes. I'll let you start this one off since I came up with the topic.
My top 5, I went off of basically athletes that people like watch randomly or know of in very small things. So number 1, I'll just start off top list. Number 1, Broncos Tim Tebow. I love Broncos Tim Tebow. That was some of the highlights of my life was watching DT and Tim Tebow run out there together, and the Broncos be down by 20 points in the fourth quarter, but Tebow magic happened and we'd be winning those games. Broncos Tim Tebow was one of the most fun seasons as a Bronco fan I had until we won a Super Bowl and things were good. Okay, so I will say it was what started my football fandom really, and Broncos Tebow was unforgettable. As I'll say, unforgettable. Number 2, my GOAT. One of the greatest Olympians of all time, a guy that I don't know if I embarrass myself that much, but a guy that I nicknamed myself up on the slopes as a kid, Sean White, the Flying Orange, as they called him, with the full head of orange hair. I called myself the Flying Lemon because I used to have long hair too. And I don't know why I thought I did that, but I did. Sean White is every time Sean White was on in the pipe, in the half pipe for the Olympics or for the X Games, I was always watching. I remember I had the privilege of being able to just randomly see him on the slope at the Burton U.S. Open back in 2018, I believe, 2019. Me and my mom sat by the slope and saw him there, and he was doing his test runs, and it was sick to see Sean White.
Best skateboarding video since Tony Hawk 2, by the way.
Oh my gosh, Sean White is forever my goat. A guy that is a bucket list guy for me. That if I ever get a chance to meet that, I will fanboy so damn quick. And it's funny because my oldest brother Reggie on his honeymoon ran into Sean White with Kayla and Sean White or Kayla was like Kayla. My sister-in-law Kayla and my brother Reggie were both looking at Sean White like, is that him? Is that him? I don't even know that's him. And she got death stares from his fiance, now wife. I can't remember who she is. Colpo? No, that's Christian McCaffrey. Fuck, I don't even remember. He's dating some model though. And so Sean White is my GOAT. I loved him to death. So much fun. Number 3, my favorite all-time lacrosse player, outside of the guys that I work with, obviously, Mark Matthews. Mark Matthews. If you've never seen the Mark Matthews highlight tape,
I have no idea who this guy is.
Exactly, pull up the Mark Matthews DU highlight lacrosse tape. The dude was doing air gate in between the legs. Basically, everything you see nowadays that is crazy wise for PLL. Play-wise is what Mark Matthews was doing at college at DU. He's a guy that made me fall in love with lacrosse. Obviously, I was a defender, so it was a different position. But a guy that I watched growing up at DU, along with Westberg, a guy who I worked with for a couple of years there with the Woods. And he's one of those guys that was just so unreal. He only plays box lacrosse now, but unreal player at DU and just a fun guy to watch when it came to lacrosse. Number 4, I've been engulfed in Formula One the last week and a half. There's nothing else to do outside of PLL. And during the week, I have to watch something. So Lewis Hamilton, Mark Matthews was just absolutely filthy. His highlights for DU were just nuts. He was a guy that and the Ponytail soundtrack with what WrestleMania is that? WrestleMania 27 theme song?
Yeah.
Or 28 with the one was in Florida, whatever it was. But Mark Matthews was filthy at DU. Number 4, Lewis Hamilton. Like I said, he's a Broncos owner. I love watching the Drive Just for 5, and he's a guy that I'm like, yeah, he's representing my team. That's my guy out there, Lewis Hamilton. And number 5, everyone, if you don't know who the fuck this guy is, you need to go look this guy up on YouTube right now. Pause the show and go watch this guy's tape on YouTube. Tony Hawk is the fucking GOAT. When you talk about GOATs of certain sports, there's undeniably one guy when it comes to skateboarding. It is Tony fucking Hawk. That guy he was the first guy to do the 720 or 1610 or whatever it was.
I think it was his first one to do 720.
720, and then he was the first guy to do the one after that, whatever 360 plus that is, 980 maybe, I don't know, 1080, I don't know. Like he was the first to do everything. And when it came to Tony Hawk, if you were born in the late 1990s, right, you grew up dressing with Tony Hawk fucking skateboard shorts and a skateboard shirt at some time, and you put 2 feet on a skateboard because you wanted to be like Tony Hawk at some point. If you did not do that as a child, at least once, you did not have a childhood. Everyone that's our age right now, I think relatively around our age right now, if you ever had a step in culture and thought that you wanted to do anything in life, you wanted to be Tony Hawk. Plain and simple. Like kids these days, kids these days will never know what it felt like to listen to Linkin Park and fucking jam out to fucking Tony Hawk and around your street and make a ramp out of your backyard and fucking try to ride off it. Like that was the prime of my childhood, was Tony Hawk and riding longboards, riding skateboards around and trying to be like him when I never was. So Tony Hawk is number 5. I think he fits perfect for the most obscure athletes.
It makes sense. We love Tony Hawk because of when we grew up, but somebody older or younger than us probably doesn't really know who Tony Hawk is. But it makes
That's what I'm saying. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Tony Hawk, there are millions of YouTube videos you can find where you can just pause this video and come back to it and be like, wow, Nico, you were right in the comments. But after you watch that.
With the obscure athletes, and the autocorrect didn't even do this guy justice. This is my number 5, Rulon Gardner. He is a former Olympic Greco-Roman gold medalist, and the guy that he's beating on the other side there, that's the Russian Superman. He is 285 pounds. You can see his six-pack here. That is Alexander Karelin. And Rulon Gardner is the guy who beat him and won the gold medal in Greco-Roman wrestling. When I texted you, it auto-corrected to Rulon Gardner, but Rulon Gardner was my number 5. No, I didn't even see it go through. That's how obscure this is. And also, a lot more people probably know him because he was also on Biggest Loser. I don't know if your mom watched Biggest Loser like my mom did, but he was a contestant on one of the seasons. It was really disappointing.
There's a new Netflix show about how unethical that was, apparently.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure that they probably kept some people fatter than they needed to be. They probably didn't show some of the people that didn't work on. But Rulon Gardner, my 5th most obscure athlete. Number 4, Brian Dawkins, the X Factor. That is, oh man, when he was in Philly, he was a problem. And he was a problem in Denver too, but not quite as much. When they got him, I was really excited listening to 104.3. My 3rd is Pat Tillman. If you don't know the story of the end of his life, unfortunately, like he gave up his NFL contract, went and fought in the Afghanistan conflict after 9/11 and was killed by fratricide, unfortunately, and the U.S. government actually covered it up because they didn't want that story coming out with him. But Pat Tillman deserves to be on this list because he was also a really great football player. Like if he just decided to stay instead of go to the military, could have been an absolute NFL legend. He still is with everything else that he did in his life. My top 2 are both college wrestler and American wrestler heroes, but David Taylor is a former Olympic champion, 3-time national champion from Penn State, and now currently the head coach at Oklahoma State, thinking that he's going to knock off his former alma mater as the best team this season. Anthony Robles. They released the movie this year on Amazon Prime, but if you don't know who Anthony Robles is, I might as well pull up a picture there. National champion at 125 pounds. He only had one leg. So I'm going to pull a picture of him for the people that might not have seen when he was wrestling.
I remember that story. That was one of the first stories I heard about wrestling growing up was the Robles story, and seeing him on one leg, it's an incredible underdog story of him just being an absolute animal and dominating with what he had.
Yeah, he was. Well, the conversation ended up being that he wouldn't have been 125 pounds if he had his other leg. Screw you, go wrestle with one leg. But Anthony Robles, with what he was able to accomplish, I really like that story, and it's one that I pull to constantly as a wrestling coach now. Quickly to finish up the show, let's get into player of the week. My player of the week goes to the Diamond. We will be getting Christian on. I'm going to try and reach out to him this week so we have him on next week since trade deadline is this week. But Nick Kurtz of the the Athletics, because they're not the Oakland Athletics anymore. But man, if they were in Oakland, 4 home runs and a double in one game. And I think he had a single also. It was a 5-hit game, 4 home runs and a single. 4 home runs, single, and a double. Almost a cycle if he would have traded in one of those home runs for a triple. 16 RBIs in a game.
Incredible. Absolutely nuts. That was nuts. I don't know if that was on the road, but if it was at home, does it really count if he was at a minor league baseball stadium? I guess it does.
If it was there, it takes a little bit off of it, but Athletic fans have nothing besides money.
They deserve it. They deserve it. My player of the week, also on baseball this week. The Rockies made a trade. Mm-hmm. Rockies made a trade and finally did something that was actually probably great for the team. They traded Ryan McMahon to the New York Yankees. And Ryan McMahon is raking right now for the Yankees. Raking for the New York Yankees. 444 average, couple home runs, a lot of RBIs, and most importantly, he's no longer on the Colorado Rockies. I think that's a great thing for both sides. And the Rockies are sellers finally, and they're realizing, you know what? We're not good. Let's sell out and get rid of all of our players that are paying stupid much money to and try to develop young players. And guys like Warming Bernabel, that's a real name. Warming Bernabel. Is our first baseman currently. He's raking. currently. The Rockies did win a season series against the Guardians, so that's they got that going for them. But the Rockies are finally sellers for the first time in way too long. So good for Ragman Man getting out there and going to a contender. And he shaved his beard when he didn't have to, because they don't do that.
They did make that rule different now. Bench warmer of the week. The Rockies could have been on this list. I decided to go with Live Golf because if you watched Happy Gilmore 2, the Maxi Golf League is based off of Live Golf. And I know that they're not under yet, but to have your biggest stars, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, guys like that playing on the team that destroys your league in the biggest golf movie that was released recently, I feel like that was bad.
That's not ideal. Mine also went to a movie this week that I watched, a movie that I just fell in love with. Spoiler for Fantastic Four. Spoiler. Galactus got his ass kicked. Incredible. The Fantastic Four, seeing all four of them work together. I love the Thing. One of my favorite characters, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and Johnny Storm. What an incredible movie. That's all I'm going to say. I think you can probably guess that he lost. I will say is this movie is going to set up so many great things. That's as far as I'll say, but it's such a good movie.
Okay, I think I saved myself there. I had to take my headphones off. So
all I said, like I didn't give him away enough. All I said was is it didn't end up well for him. I think that's fair to think about when you think about superhero movies. So everything else you'll figure it out from there.
Except if you're watching Endgame, then yes, that makes sense. Last thing, play of the week. What do you got for play of the week?
Play of the week. I had an assist this week. I don't know if you saw it. I had an assist. Dylan Malloy tore through his Warrior cleat that was made in 2012, and he wears them for whatever reason, and he had to wear 2 different shoes this weekend. So I was one of the guys that ran to the locker room and ran to our equipment and went and grabbed him a size 13 New Balance cleat that he had to wear for the rest of the game because he literally tore the entire bottom off of the shoe, and I gave it to him, so he wore it the rest of the game. And then not even a quarter later, he decided to do a hockey assist a soccer assist where the ball was literally on the ground and he kicked it to Chris Kavanaugh and he scored the goal. Kicked it with the shoe I gave him, by the way. So I would like the credit on the fact that I gave him. I got the assist on that goal too. So I had an assist in a stat this weekend, ladies and gentlemen.
It's good that you're deciding. It's great to have the good equipment guys there. You're needed, especially in those big situations. Look at the Eagles a couple years ago in the Super Bowl.
The cleats
are important.
15 years old. Like you can probably pull up the picture. The entire bottom of the shoe fell off. Yeah. It was just. I was just like, I have never seen this before. I was like, yep, that makes sense. Their shoes are 15 years old. That checks out.
Warrior is not a brand that I've heard of in quite some time, so that does make sense. My play of the week goes back to what I was saying earlier, the Rise of the Roadrunners. It debuts Friday, so tomorrow as you're watching this live on our YouTube channel, make sure you're subscribed. If you want to see what UTSA might be able to do in an alternative fictional universe behind Coach Clay, Stonewall, Merritt, Frankie, the Horn, Calderon, going to be on the call for you guys tomorrow. That will be releasing, plus we'll have blogs that come out afterwards, and we'll be getting ready for week 2 coming up the following Friday. So make sure that if you're not subscribed already to this channel, subscribe, ring the notification bell, make sure that you're keeping up with everything that's coming out Far End of the Bench content-wise. We're right up on my time here, so anything else that you got for the people before we send them off and get ready to go on the end of their week?
It's like I said, it's a fun week. The PLL weekend is so much fun here in Denver. If you're in town and tickets are still available, come say hi. I'll be on the sidelines, be around everything. Jimmy will be there Saturday night as well. It's been, like I said, the off season is a slow grind, but the weekend is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to be sitting in my own bed and hopefully get another dub this weekend.
I think it's going to be a great weekend for the PLL. It's going to be a great weekend for all of the training camps. We'll be back next week to break down another of the NFL divisions and another college football conference. Plus, going to probably get some baseball content on with Christian Saez from DNVR. That's all coming up. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to 241 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.